What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Doing a lot of hanging out with my son, watching a lot of hockey. I'm in the trenches still, man. Like he's gonna be a month old on Friday, coming up this week. And I think I texted you. I think I probably have texted you like four separate times, being like, I don't understand how it's this hour in the day, and that's just me every day. I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, I guess it's 7 o'clock. So it's crazy right now.
A month on Friday already. Wow.
Yep, it's insane. It's going by too fast.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Is he liking the hockey?
Yeah, he loves it. Loves it. He sits in my lap, my little on the recliner, and we watch the Sabres. And sometimes good things happen, and sometimes bad things happen. So it's I'm teaching him the way of Buffalo sports right now. So it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be a little bit more of a traditional podcast here, and we got some game reviews. So we went over it last week. And I don't know if you noticed, but I predicted all three of these games correct.
You did.
Yeah,
Also, we
I
skipped
did.
over your introduction. What's up with you?
Dude, nothing. I'm gonna power through tonight, but it's been a long day. I had work all day, and then I went right from work to my in-laws for Beggars Night, and which is a lot of fun because their neighborhood is great. They actually ran out of candy. This Beggars Night goes from like 6 to 8 traditionally, and everybody knows that they do it. Like one of the only neighborhoods that do it, so you get kids from everywhere. And
Yep.
plus, today was like a super nice night. It's like warm out,
Beautiful
and
out, huh?
oh, it was so nice. You got it. You had like a nice breeze. But it was a lot of fun, dude. Halloween is so fun. Like all the kids, like everyone's dressed up. And this neighborhood is great because people who live there know this happens every year, so they get ready for it. So people got their fires in their driveways, and they got music going. There's a couple guys who do like Michael Myers every year, so they're like in their garage, like just like sitting there, like with knives. It's like creepy. It's
It's
cool, man.
awesome.
It's just like yeah, it was a lot of fun. Riley and Owen had a good time and got a bunch of candy that me and Katie will probably eat most of anyway. So
That's the best part, man. That's the best. Eating your kids' Halloween candy is the best.
I work tomorrow, and our work is doing like animal onesies. So I'm going as a unicorn tomorrow.
You are one of a kind.
That is true. That is true. I voted for zombies. I wanted zombies, but I lost the vote. But that's all right. Thankfully,
That's
my
cool.
brother-in-law
I'm
Eric
gonna
has had a unicorn onesie on hand, so I didn't need to spend any money. So shout out Eric.
pop shout out. That's clutch. I'm gonna need a picture of you in that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We'll put one on the Saber Spotlight Twitter feed.
Like the old Jack Eichel picture. Have you ever seen that picture of Eichel as a unicorn when he was like in college?
No.
Oh man, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna send it to you. It's really really funny. But we can move on. I'll find it like in a couple seconds. It's really funny.
I've seen him compared to like the guy from Home Alone.
Okay, no, you're gonna find. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like with the
Yeah,
one of the wet bandits. I mean, he looks just
yeah.
like him.
Athletes always have like the best Halloween parties and like Halloween costumes. It's so that they go all out. I think that's so fun.
All right, so you want to get into hockey here now? Now that I
Let's
got
get
my
it. Let's
little
get it.
my little
We're doing.
intro out of
I'm
the way.
excited. I'm excited to talk some puck.
All right, so like I said, more of a traditional show here, and yeah, I nailed these last week. I said the Sabres were going to go 2-1. That's exactly what happened. For a second there, it looked like they might squeeze a point against Florida, but Florida ended up overtaking them at the end of that game. But first game here was a 4-2 win over the Dallas Stars, and this was a good win because at the time when they won this game, I think Dallas was like 5-1. They were playing some good hockey, not necessarily scoring a ton, but playing good defense. And Ottinger was playing good, and they played Ottinger. They didn't get it. They didn't get it back. So they played the number one guy, and this was a good win at home. This started off the 4 game homestand, so they come back home and get a good win, and we get a goal from Peyton Krebs, Ryan McLeod, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck. So they score the 4 goals. Alex Tuck gets the empty net at the end that kind of sealed things, but Peyton Krebs gets a nice baseball swinging home run, and that's what that's what we use to take a quick 1-0 lead, which is nice because we didn't jump out to many early leads last season, so that was good. McLeod scores for his 4th game in a row. That was a nice 2-on-1 feed from Jason Zucker. and then Tate Thompson had like a beautiful give and go. This felt like a game that just was like fun. You saw like some of the fun come back. They had some of those dynamic rush goals, and they end up getting the win. We can go into some of the analytics here in a second, but what were your thoughts on this game?
I felt like we dominated. Like it was really fun. Like you said, they're flying high. They were forechecking hard. UPL was making some nice saves. It was good until the end. The end was a little shaky, and I got a little nervous, like we all did. But honestly, you can just chalk this one up to being just a great all around effort from the boys.
Oh yeah, because this was the game where we were up like 3-0 late
Three
in the
nothing.
game, and it
Yep.
was looking like UPL was going to get a shutout, and then they pulled Ottinger, I think, for the first time with like 6 minutes left. They score a goal, and then they pulled them again, and they get another goal. So they bring it to
Yep.
3-2 with like 4 minutes left, and yeah, it kind of sucked because you feel like UPL kind of deserved a shutout in this game because he played pretty good. This was a strong performance for UPL. He stops 28 of 30 for a 993 save percentage, and he stopped all 7 high danger chances that he faced on the night. This was definitely a game where we frustrated Dallas. You could kind of tell on the ice like they couldn't get anything going, and that was maybe perhaps the first time this season where they had a game like that where they just couldn't get in rhythm, and the forechecking, like you mentioned, from the Sabres was really disrupting anything that they were trying to bring through the neutral zone. They did get their share of high danger chances, but UPL was there to make the saves.
Yeah. And dude, penalty kill went 3 for 3. Something that we were discussing about how that special teams, both power play and penalty kill was kind of not doing so hot, and part of the penalty kills issue was not getting saves, and to go 3 for 3 on the night against the Stars with all their firepower was a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, you're right because they have a lot of studs on that power play between Stankoven, Johnson, Rupe Hintz. I mean, you got a lot of guys out there that can put the puck in the net, and they weren't just like three stops. They came at like crucial times in the game where you didn't want the Stars to gain some momentum, and unfortunately, we don't get the power play goal. But Owen Power was great on this night, a 3 assist night, and we talked about it last week. Gave him lots of flowers, as you know, I love saying, but he's coming into his own this year. He's playing really, really good, and he's I think third in our team in scoring right now as far as points
Yeah,
go.
he
So
he's playing really well. I'm not really sure about his partner at the moment. The last couple games have been like, up and down for Bo Byram, but Owen Power's been so good that I don't think it's really like hurting the team much. It's actually like helping the team. If you notice, like every time that pair's on the ice, who's the guy leading the rush, or who's the guy breaking the puck out? It's not Bo Byram. It's Owen Power almost every time, and he's one of the elite puck moving guys in this league already, and he looks to be leveling up.
oh yeah, he took in the last game. We'll get to it in a little bit here, but in the Florida game, I mean, he literally went like 4-on-1 and like almost scored. Like he went through like four guys
He
on
looked like
Florida and just took
Darlene.
it to net. It was sick. That was a sick move. He just kind of like lulled him to sleep, and then he just kind of like skated through everybody. It was great. But 27 block shots in this game. Greener and Clifton each had five. Lindy Ruff gave them a little shout out after the game and mentioned about the tenacity and the desire to block shots and help UPL out and play and winning hockey that way. Faceoffs continue to be kind of a down point for this team. They're only 19. Well, they had 19 wins, 30 losses, so 19 for 49 on the faceoffs there. So a 38.8 percentage on the faceoff. But any other thoughts from the Stars game here before we transition over to Detroit?
I don't think so. We can move on.
So Detroit was fun. This was a game I was at, and this was also, if you've been following along on the Twitter, this was also the first game that we used a graphic for. I had a sweet custom graphic made for this game for a preview. Did you like that?
I did. I thought it was real cool, and like you didn't even tell me you were gonna post it, and I'm like, oh, we do graphics now. Like, let's go. We're the official podcast.
So if you're listening and you don't follow us on Twitter, check it out because the whole concept that I'm doing here, it's just a little thing, just a little snapshot before each game. It kind of shows the team's the record in the last three games. So you can see what team if teams are coming in like playing good or whatnot. And I give little snapshots of like the team's leading scorers, power play percentage, penalty kill percentage. So just kind of a little quick, nice little visual you can see. I always include a little like synopsis of what I'm hoping we see in the game or what we can expect to see. And for this Detroit game, I nailed it because I said that the Sabres had a good opportunity to notch their first power play goal of the season, and they did exactly that. Finally, getting off the schneid against the Red Wings and getting their first power play goal. Jason Zucker, who apparently is the only one of the Sabres who is allowed to score power play goals, but first game in black and red, and I was here for this game. This was a fun game. What did you think watching the game against Detroit?
Well, like everyone knows, it would have absolutely crushed me if we lost to this team because I cannot stand the Detroit Red Wings or the Yzer clan. But another fun one. Lots of goals scored on both sides, and I tAge was a monster in this game, dude. Just unreal. He has been so good, and it's so exciting to see him back to full health. Like last year, he was just fighting it the whole season almost, and still had the almost 30 goals. And this year he's at full strength, and he is, I think, tied for first place in even strength goal scoring with 7. He is a beast. I love this kid.
Dude, hit us with those stats. Hit us with those stats right there. I know you see them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Hold on. So tAge, 22-5 Sabres shot attempts. They were out shooting Detroit when tAge is on the ice, and 11-2 in scoring chances when tAge is on the ice. Dude, that line's cooking something fierce, cooking some witch's brew, if you will.
I like it. I like it. The hang on, I gotta text Katie because my dog is down here eating a bunch of garbage, and I need her to
We can
get her
pause.
the
Why don't
hell
you
out
just
of here.
pause it?
No, you're good.
We don't pause the pod for nothing.
So I tweeted during this game that well after this game because I was there that Tage dominated, and it wasn't just offensively, it
Yep.
was it was everything. Anytime, and Lindy commented on this after the game, that anytime the Sabres needed to just regain momentum or you felt like things were shifting towards Detroit a little bit, he put that line out there. And Tage was dominant offensively in this game, but there were so many times where he just settled the play, like in our defensive zone, and just showed his patience, or just like one puck battles, or just like a little like stick here and there. It was just every. This was a game where he was just clearly the best player on the ice. And there's been many times over the last couple of years where how many times have we left games where we're like your best players have to like that's a game where your best players have to win it for you and things like that. And this was one of those games where you got to give him credit because Tage was by far the best player on the ice on both sides, and he completely dominated this game. Every time he was out there, it was just the Sabres were owning the ice at that moment
Yeah,
in
it
time.
was it was fantastic. That was a number one center's game right there.
Yeah, he had 2 goals, like you said, bringing his total to 7. He recorded the hardest shot in the NHL Edge era with a 104.69 mile per hour shot. That actually wasn't a goal. That was just a quick slap
Well,
shot from.
the shot was so hard that it caused the rebound to kick out for Zucker to score the power play goal.
Oh, it's nice. Okay, so yeah, see, so that was perfect. Darlene said after the game on Tage that when we see our best player dominate, it gives us all the confidence. So, Darlene gave him some props afterwards, and Tage kind of credits his strong play. He said after the game that the style of play that they're trying to incorporate and it is more again defensive minded and just kind of getting the pucks out of the zone and getting them deep. And Tage said that he's just kind of trusting himself to play the right way and just do the smart thing and trusting that the offense will come, and it's been, and he's seeing the puck go in, and so it's kind of nice because you could tell last year he was pressing a little bit. He's playing much more relaxed this year.
Yeah, I mean, we need this for this team to do anything important this year. We need him to play like this for most of the season, I'd say.
What do you think about your boy Jack Quinn finally getting on the score sheet? Had a nice empty net goal.
Dude, he's on the struggle bus like bad. It's real bad. And I genuinely don't know what's going on, man. Like it's not it's the speed, it's the decision making, it's using his body. Like he's getting thrown around like a wet noodle out there. Like I he looked pretty good coming back from injury last year. I just it looks like he literally the first time he picked up a stick and skates was for game one. Like it looks like he didn't even have a summer and didn't have a training camp. Like I genuinely don't understand.
I know like and I said it on the show last week that I'm not too worried about it because I didn't think he had a case of the yips, and I just think he had to play his way out of it. But I will say, like every week that goes by that we're gonna get on here and talk about the Sabres, and it's another bad week. I'm just gonna keep worrying more and more, and that panic level is just gonna kind of keep going up and up because the problem is right now he is clearly a net negative like for the team when he's out on the ice, and it just seems like there's nothing that he can do. I heard Matt Fairburn and Chris Baker talking about it on their latest podcast, and it was interesting when they mentioned it because someone in the chat had said like, and I was thinking the same thing, which is why I found it interesting. Was like, can Quinn go down to Rochester? And he can't unless we put him on waivers, and you're not going to do that. He'd have to clear waivers, and then you could send him down that way. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, like, can we just get this dude down to Rochester and like try and get his confidence back up because it's just not working right now.
Yeah, I think he's got to sit for a while, which sucks, but I you can't have him in the lineup. Like I think Dylan Cousins has kind of turned it around like a little bit. Like I know he's not finding the net like at all, hasn't found the net in a single game. But and he also we didn't even discuss it, but he missed it like a wide open net against Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I think twice, might have been twice. Like the guy just can't even
I
buy
know
it.
one for
It's
sure,
insane.
but
But I think Cousins' play like overall has improved a little bit, and Quinn is just kind of bringing him down. Like it's just people online are like, "Oh, Cousins, like can we fix Cousins? Can we fix Cousins?" Well, right now, if you're going by like the last 3-4 games, it's not Dylan Cousins, it's Jack Quinn just bringing whoever is on his line down, and it really sucks to see because I want the kid to be good. I was an advocate for like trying to extend him in the offseason before he, you know, lights it up this year and then we got to pay him more. But it's just looking like maybe he didn't deserve an extension yet.
what are your? I tweeted this too, and I know we talked about it quickly, but I want to get your thoughts on the podcast here because the talk will be and the talk has been okay if Quinn sits and that's for whatever 1, 2, 3 games, then what does the replacement look like? I want to see because right now you're not you could I guess, but I don't think you're going to break up the third line. They're playing too good, and that fourth line is kind of locked in. I know during against Florida they did some funky stuff with NAK, but then they kind of reestablished that fourth line and they
Yeah,
played
it
pretty
didn't really
good.
work out well. He didn't.
No, no, no.
He doesn't have the puck skills to play at a second line.
Yeah, yeah. So that was whatever they fixed that quickly, but I'm thinking we don't know the timetable for Benson, but if Benson can come back quick, I would love to get a new kid line established and go Kulik, Cousins, Benson. Like I think that is a good option. It's tough because you're putting Cousins between two young kids, but Benson's established himself. He's not. I mean, he's played a whole season in the NHL, and Kulik's been okay. I don't know. What are your thoughts there, and what do you think could happen with that second line if Quinn does sit?
That might be like our only option right now, dude. Like, there's really nothing else we can do unless they go out and make a trade. But we all know that's not happening. There's going to sit on that $6 million.
I know. I know there's limitations there unless you break up that third line, and promote
I don't want to
one
either.
of
I'm
those guys.
I'm right
But
there with you.
yeah, you can't. You can't. They're playing way too good right now. So okay. All right. Well, we do get the power play goal in this game, so the power play goes 1 for 4. Darlene has 3 assists on the night, so he comes up on the stat sheet, but still looking to be hampered a little bit by the injuries. Penalty kill against the Red Wings is 2 for 2. And another tough night on faceoffs. 24 faceoff wins, 49 losses, only 34% on the night. Money Puck had UPL for this game at a -109 GSAX. Wasn't a bad night for UPL overall. 22 out of 25. He had an 880 save percentage. I put on the note here that I wanted him. I would have liked him to get a save on the goal by Lucas Raymond, which was a shorthanded goal. I felt like Dahlin, this was a 2-on-1. I felt like Dahlin
Yep.
had good positioning and had kind of cut off the pass. UPL looked like, even though Dahlin had good position, he was still kind of anticipating a pass and got kind of surprised, like on his glove side, by like a wrist shot from Raymond. That's the only one I kind of had a problem with. But all in all, I thought he played fine in this game, coming off the good performance versus Dallas.
Yeah, I guess it's just he's just really leaving a lot to be desired for me this year. I'll be honest. Like it's not. We're like last year. I was so locked in. Like if a shot is on net, I think UPL is going to save it. But this year, if a shot is coming from the point or he's facing like a difficult save like opportunity, that it's going to go in. Like I have almost no confidence in UPL right now.
There was a couple goals against Florida, and we can transition there right now since we're on the topic of UPL. We can start there. There was a couple goals against Florida where I would have liked him to have back. I mean
He
Bennett.
lost us this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Money Puck only has him like a -1 GSAX, but he didn't really make any big saves, and I thought he let in a couple soft goals. There's a couple in this game that I would have liked back, the Bennett goal and on the power play, which I think the Bennett goal made it 4-2 and kind of sealed it for Florida. You're not going to come back from them. It's hard. It's hard to come back against the Panthers over 3 periods of hockey, let alone when they scored that fourth goal in the third period. But uh, again, just another game here where you can see where these 3 games is like starts off great against Dallas and then just kind of falls off a little bit against the Red Wings, and then against Florida is when he really kind of, again, I agree with you. I think he kind of cost us, in this game. Makes me think that Levi is probably getting the next start, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I do they roll again with Luukkonen and just like, hey, you're the guy? I mean, do they have a back to back coming up like at all? Like
well,
our
that's
schedule.
that's what's
Can,
next. Like so,
can we
like
talk
they
about our schedule and how stupid it's
yes.
been?
Well, they have a back to back coming up, so Levi's going to get one of the next 2 games because they play the Islanders on Friday and then they play on Saturday as well. Saturday is, I believe, against Detroit again. So, um, yeah. So
This schedule has been so stupid, man. Like, so we go to Prague, right? Then we come back. We don't play till Thursday. Then we play Friday. Then we gotta wait all the way to Wednesday, Thursday for a back to back and play Saturday. That's kind of a normal schedule. Then 2 games in a week. Like, what is happening here? And they're both spread out. Like, the schedule makers kind of like made it weird for us this year. I think it's just we can't really get like any momentum from like a win because we're not playing for another 4 days after we play. It's weird.
it is weird. It is weird. I don't mind the break this week though after the loss. I think that is good timing.
I guess it
Plus,
goes both ways.
yeah. Plus, I also the one other thing I like about it is that like we were kind of ahead on like the games played, and I just kind of feel better when like the games played are all kind of like around the same. I just feel like I have a better grasp of like where we actually are. Because if
Yeah,
you look like when after we beat Detroit, the Sabres were in like second, and then it's like, all right, well they've only had
yeah,
one
but everyone
game.
else had 2 game lead, a 2 game lead on everyone.
Yeah,
You know,
so now they're kind of back down, towards where they were, last season. But
right?
we'll talk about the standings in a little bit here. But I don't. It has been funky with a lot of the travel and stuff. But yeah, you got to think that with the back to back coming up here over the next couple of days, obviously UPL is going to get one and Levi's going to get one. I'd like to see Levi just get the next one. I don't really see the point in rolling out UPL after the bad game, especially when you're not going to play him for the next game. So if you're trying to get UPL hot again, I'd rather just see Levi play this next one. And then if you're going to give UPL some starts in a row, just let him start rolling the next few, starting with Detroit there. That's kind of my thoughts on it. But
I think that's a good um, standpoint to look at the goaltending.
because if you put UPL in this next game, you're not going to play him back to back. So then you're switching right back to Levi,
Yep.
and then you're going back to UPL. So why not just let Levi take the first, and then you can roll UPL out for the next 3 if you're looking to kind of have him play. Because at this point, Levi hasn't played a game since the 17th. It's been,
Right.
I
Yeah. You
mean,
got you kind of got to feed him a game here.
yeah, you got to give him something to help him kind of stay in rhythm as a backup. But
I
okay,
uh
any notes from Florida? We didn't go over too much, but anything else you want to go over?
I you can just say that like honestly like they looked like they were at a different level than us. Like towards the end, like it just like okay, this team is outclassing you, and there's just nothing you can really do, especially when your goalie is not letting in, or your goalie is letting in, unscreened shots from the circle. Like you got to make those saves. So I just pulled up Money Puck's goalie stats.
Hmm.
UPL 53rd in the league in GSAX. Levi is 62. So we're really not getting good goaltending again.
Yeah, yeah,
And we
yeah. You're
kind
not
of we
getting good
needed that.
goaltending again. The defense has been meh. I mean, the defense is. I mean, Lindy credited the defensive miscues against Florida as a reason why they're they had like three defensive breakdowns, which led to some of the rushes and goals, which I understand. But we talked about it last time. You're not playing great defense on top of not having the best goaltending. What's been saving them right now, it has been their ability to score. But how sustainable is that when you're getting limited secondary scoring right now?
Yep. So we got. I'm optimistic now. You said 2-1. We went 2-1. We needed that. Like we really did after this stretch of three, and we got a favorable schedule coming up. You remember last year how we'd be like, all right, look at this bunch of games we got in November. If we can string along like a 3-game win streak here, drop an overtime loss, and then another 2 or 3 game like that. That's what we need. And the games coming up really lends to the fact that the Sabres might be able to get hot in the month of November.
Yeah, I mean, we tweeted it out too. We did the Sabres didn't have a 3 game win streak last season until late February, almost March.
Yep.
And they've already done that, which is good. And you have to credit the team to handling that adversity and winning three pretty big games to claw themselves back to 4-4-1. And now I know they just lost to Florida, so they're back to 4-5-1. But if you can start again winning more games than you're losing, then things start to head up to where you need them to. A couple things I want to touch on about Florida real quick, and then we can move on. We did get another power play goal. So the power play was 1 for 3. Zucker scores another power play goal in that one, and then tAge
Power play
got
king.
yep. tAge got another assist, so he extends he extended his point streak to 7 games, which includes 6 goals and 5 assists during that time period. So again, he's just kind of dominating. We should probably touch on the Darlene slash though before we
Oh
move
man,
on.
I forgot about this. Okay, go ahead.
So this occurred against Florida with like I don't know in the third with what probably like 10 minutes left, halfway through, or maybe 8 minutes left, and I didn't really see what pissed Darlene off. Maybe it was something that was just building throughout the game, or they got tied up. But Darlene like lacrosse style, just like slashed Lundell like in the face, and he ends up getting fined 5K for it. I don't know if you saw that news, but he got fined $5,000 for it. But just a dumb penalty at the end of the game, and that's what led to the Sam Bennett power play goal that put the Panthers up 4-2 for good.
Yeah, that ended the game basically, and stupid from the captain. Like you're the captain, you can't be doing dumb shit like that. I thought for sure he was getting suspended. I was convinced. Did
I don't
you?
know.
Did you think so?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like. I mean, I could see it because it was a hit to the head, like for sure. But I guess I think I probably would have been surprised if he got suspended. I think the fine is fine. If something like that happens again, I mean, he's definitely going to, because then you're looking at like a repeat offense. But I
Isn't
just
it?
go ahead.
Sorry. Isn't it funny that 5K is the maximum allowable under the CBA? Like to us, that's like $15.
Oh my gosh, I need that 5K could go a long way for me right now.
It's nothing compared to like Rasmus Dahlin is making what $11.5 million this year.
I
That's
know,
nothing.
I
Like yeah,
know,
you don't want to get
seriously.
fined, like obviously, but yeah, sick fine process you got there. That's really gonna deter someone from doing that again.
He admitted the wrong after the game, but there's something's going on with him, and I don't know what it is, but I don't know, it's just strange vibes for me with Darlene. Like the whole Krebs hit in practice, which was unnecessary, and then the slash. They're just like kind of like uncharacteristic things. I don't know what it is. If he's just kind of struggling with the C and feeling like pressure with that and adjusting to that. I mean, we talked about how he's playing hurt, but there's just something with Darlene right now that just doesn't seem that just it just seems off. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he looked better this game, I thought, like overall.
I mean, he
But
had his first goal of the season, and
yeah,
that was a sweet play.
it
He
was
kind of
sick.
he drove the net and shielded the puck with his body, and then kind of brought it back to the forehand and scored. That
You
was
might be
nice.
onto something. You might be onto something there where he's like added pressure. He has to like maybe come out of his skin a little bit, but at the same time, he's always had like a bit of an edge. And I'm sure like the slash was like more accidental than not. Like it was weird. Like he meant to throw the guy down and kind of like swung his stick in the process. So I'm not really gonna say that it was like on purpose, but you kind of have to be more in control of your stick, and it's fine. He got his fine, and I don't know. I hope the Florida game is like the beginning for him to finally like snap out of whatever was going on. But because he was, like we touched on before, he was like just weird vibes. Like he wasn't playing like his normal self. And this
I
past
know.
game, even the game before that, kind of looked like normal Darlene again a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I just think I think there's just something a little bit there. I mean, he's always been a guy who's led by his play on the ice, so I feel like Lenny just kind of has to have a discussion with him. Like, listen, man, I know you got the C, but like, you're a leader on the ice. Just go out there and do what you do, and the rest can handle itself. Because part of that slash to me almost feels like he was trying to kind of just stir something up and get something going late in the game, which you could do in other ways. Like you could try and lay a big hit or
Right.
talk get in someone's head and try and get like a little scrum going, and it's kind of feel like he was trying to maybe do something like that as the captain of the team because we kind of needed a late spark because Florida kind of took over in that third period and was shutting us down. We weren't generating any chances or any offense, and maybe he just went about it the wrong way, and I don't know. But the one thing that kind of aggravated me the most from that play was, or no, it wasn't that play. It was later on. Did you see when Krebs got boarded? It was like a few minutes after this. Krebs takes a boarding hit
Yep.
along the boards, and Cousins is there, and Cousins gives just a couple little gentle stick taps, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if that was 2 years ago, Cousins is teeing off on this guy, like not even thinking. And listening to the Baker Fairburn show, they brought up a good point too. Is like Krebs is like one of the few guys on this team that he's always getting in scraps and he's
Yep.
defending his
Loves it.
boys.
He
Yeah,
lives
and
for it.
it's an instinct for him. He does it right away. And this was a clear boards, kind of a cheap shot at Krebs late, and Cousins is right there, able to address it right away. And he gives the softest little weak like stick taps to this guy's back, just little poke check, cross checks. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't understand. I don't understand Dylan Cousins right now. I agree with you. Maybe he's playing a little bit better, but he's an infuriating player to me right now
Yeah.
because he's not the same player.
That bothered me too. Like your your guy gets boarded, you should do something about it. And like you said, especially because it is Peyton Krebs, and if roles were reversed, Krebs would have, unleashed the Tasmanian devil within him, and at least like, you know, had like matching penalties going to the penalty box. Like he would have did something to stick up for Cousins. But dude, there's Dylan Cousins is kind of a myth now. Like, everyone's always like, oh, he's this tough player. He's kind of soft, dude. Like I'm like as a
I
player, like
think
probably
yeah,
not
yeah.
but he's not really controlling the puck on the boards. I know like the reason I said he was playing better is because I like him carrying the puck now. He looks a little bit more confident, but defensively, kind of he's not there.
Yeah, like what
He
else does he provide?
he struggles to retain possession. He's not really laying the body. Like he's 6'3". He should be, a man along the boards, and he's kind of like getting tossed around out there. And it's like, what happened to the tenacity?
Yeah, I counted probably 3 or 4 times against Florida where he had an easy opportunity to lay a hit on a guy in a chance where he wouldn't be taking himself. Because I understand not hitting sometimes because you don't
Yeah,
want to
right.
take yourself out of the play, but like these were opportunities in the Florida game where he could have easily, laid a hit on a guy who he was just right there with or had just gotten possession of the puck and he would have still been in the play and he just opted not to. And he had a couple hits in that game, but yeah, there's the physicality is just it's just it just hasn't been there, and I don't know what's going on, but we'll see what happens with things as we go. Okay, all right. So you want to go around the Atlantic Division here?
Let's do it.
All right. So looking at the Atlantic Division now, we got Florida atop with 15 points, 7-3-1. Tampa Bay in second, 6-3. Toronto 5-4-1. They're in third, and then we got Ottawa in fourth at 5-4 with 10 points. Detroit is in fifth with 9 points at 4-4-1, and then Buffalo, Montreal, and Boston are all tied at the bottom with 9 points as well. They're all 4-5-1. So, what do you think about where the Atlantic Division is sitting here through the first 2.5 weeks or so of the season?
Florida is clearly the class of the division again, but this division is kind of weak again. You know how last few years it was like we'll never finish in second or third because the division is just too good. I know Tampa right now is putting a beat down on Colorado. I think it's like 4-1 right now. I'm not sure, maybe 3-1. I might have misread, but I don't really believe in Tampa that much. I know Kucherov is like going nuclear again, and that's going to really help them if Kucherov is going to get a point per game, like above a point per game again. But they're all right. Toronto, dude, I don't think Toronto is like very good. Like, what do you think about Toronto? Like, they're just the same team. Like, they're the same team they always are. Weak goaltending, weak defense. They can score, and their depth this year I think is worse than it was last year. What do you
They're a
think of
team
Toronto?
they're a team I
I
was
want to
kind
hear
of
your Toronto thoughts.
yeah, they're a team I was kind of, if you remember, I was kind of high on coming into this season too. As well,
Yeah,
not high on, but I like their off season, and as far as the defensive positions goes, they added Tanev and
yeah.
Ekman Larson thing. So I kind of liked what they did defensively. But I know Matthews is off to a slow start too. I don't anticipate that that's gonna last very long, and I don't know. I haven't been able to catch a ton of Maple Leafs hockey, so I don't know how the goaltending's doing there. But yeah, they're a team that I I think will be fine. I think they'll figure things out, but they'll be in that third or fourth range there. I don't know if they're going to be dominant. Are they a team that the Sabres can catch? I don't know. I think
I don't
ultimately
think
they'll
so.
still I think ultimately they'll still space things out a little bit, but you never know. I mean, that's a team there where one or two injuries could really derail things, and you don't know what's going to happen. With them. But admittedly I haven't watched a ton of Toronto, but I just from hearing things, I know it hasn't been the greatest start to this season, which you just love to hear, honestly.
I
So
know. And then you got Ottawa. This team, man, they are a weird team. They're weird. They had that crazy game, remember, maybe a week or two ago, against LA, where it ended
yeah,
like
the 7-8 game.
8-7. Allmark hasn't looked very good there. Like their defense is pitiful, low key. Like they're getting by on scoring goals. I don't know how long that lasts. Maybe Allmark can turn it around and help them when they're leaking chances. But that's another team that they have flaws. I don't think they're any better than the Sabres, like by a significant margin or at all. I think they're kind of on the same level or worse.
Ottawa.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Allmark right now he's 2-2,
yep,
2.7 goals against, which isn't too bad. He's got a 904, save percentage. If you're comparing that to UPL right now. UPL has an 890 save
yeah.
percentage with
It's
a with a
our
three
goaltending has been terrible.
yeah with a 331. So, but they're yeah I don't know what's going to happen with the Senators. They're a team that I think we're going to be competing with. Our matchups with them are going to be what I think kind of makes the difference. This is a season more than years past where I think those head to head matchups with those teams like Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. No, not Montreal. I'm not too worried about that. But Boston, like the matchups
Boston might
against,
be broken. We got to talk Boston in a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, definitely. But like that's because some of these teams are so like enigmatic this season, and I don't know what to think right now. I kind of think there's gonna be a cluster this year of teams that are just kind of in the middle there, which is just gonna make those 4-point games against them just all the more important. So the Sabres getting that first win against Detroit is huge. And this week coming up, you got a game against the Islanders. I know they're in the Metro, but another middle team in the Metro that you're probably going to be competing with, and then Ottawa and Detroit. I talked about this on the solo show I did a couple months ago about how this one of the ways the Sabres make the playoffs this season is by doing good against these middle teams and kind of being the class of that team. And I think that's what you're going to have to do this season to really separate.
Hey, if we're the best bad team, the best bad team gets a wild card spot.
Exactly, that's what you have to do. Yeah, but
Next,
that
next team we have here, if you want to get to the next team, is Detroit, and I think this team is terrible. I will just be
yeah
honest with you. I think
yeah
they're terrible.
yeah yeah. I'm not too worried about Detroit. I think they're like a 500 team.
Barely. Like I really think that they're not good. Like Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, they're unreal players. Their second line might be the oldest second line in the league, dude. They got Tarasenko, Comfer, and Kane on the second line. That is an old man's line. That is not like that line would have been nasty in 2016, 2017, but not anymore. I mean,
Hmm.
they're not great. The defense, Moritz Seider is getting killed every game again. Like everyone's like, oh, I know like a lot of national guys are like Seider is elite. Oh my god, dude, I just swallowed water and I swallowed it wrong. I'm really struggling. Um, Seider gets compared to Dahlin a lot, just in the fact that he's a young defenseman and he hits hard and man, he gets crushed like a lot. Like they're putting him in some unfair situations for him, and it's crazy to watch him get like bullied every single game. And unfortunate for Detroit, but fortunate for me because I can't stand them.
So out of these teams here, I think is there other than Florida, is there a team that you're thinking is a clear cut above the rest? Like, are you thinking Florida and Tampa are kind of the top two teams right now?
I think you can lump in Toronto there just simply by the fact that their big guns are bigger than everyone else's big guns. Like
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if their goaltending like takes a hit because once Matthews wakes up, he can win you a game like single handedly.
Yeah, like they have
And
a high
Nylander too.
ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
They
think
have very high ceiling players.
those three once again are probably going to finish 1, 2, and 3. But the other teams, including I'm going to include Boston in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
bottom
That's
group
totally fair. Yeah.
because Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, Boston. I think those four teams are going to be battling with the Metro teams for wildcard spots.
Out of that, so then my follow up to that would be out of those teams, who do you think scares you the most?
Ottawa, Ottawa definitely first, and then probably Boston. But Boston looks bad this year. Like Corpusalo looks bad. They're not getting the depth scoring. Marchand is playing well, but they're kind of seeing the repercussions finally of Bergeron's retirement, Krejci's retirement, Chara's retirement. So I this might be a down year for them.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. As of right now, Ottawa is a little bit more scary to me. I think we might be seeing the fall of Boston, but it's still weird for me to say that
Yeah,
because it's
you don't want to
Boston.
believe it until you see it. Like until 82 games are played and they're not in the playoffs, you're not going to believe it.
I know, and I always said I'm not going to believe it until I see it, but it's a slow start, so we may be seeing it. It's kind of like the Jack Quinn thing. The longer I see it happening, the more I'm gonna believe it. So hopefully that's the case because that's a team that we both accounted for making the playoffs. That is going to be at the bottom there, and maybe you gotta get that spot over Ottawa. But I'm not too worried about Detroit. Okay, I think that's good there. Anything else that we need to? Anything else you want to cover here tonight?
I love how we don't touch on Montreal at all because they're so irrelevant.
I mean, yeah, it didn't even pop into my head.
Like, dude, it's so funny. They have like a strong fan base, obviously, one of like the
Yeah,
most hardcore fan bases in all of hockey. Their online fan base touts up these young defensemen they have constantly, and they are getting pounded. Someone posted Lane Hutson's advanced stats like his expected goals against and like his Corsi numbers. This kid is getting roasted every single night almost, like getting buried with chances left and right. Same with Logan Mailloux. I think they actually sat him for a game. He's another rookie defenseman they have. These and you talk to a Montreal fan online and they're like, oh, we got the next, small Eric Carlson in Lane Hudson. And he's getting torched out there. Like all this kid does, like I can't wait till we play them. It's so funny. Like his skating is majestic. It is awesome. When he has the puck, he's like a little lightning bug out there, and he's gonna throw head fakes out there and stick handling. But the guy cannot stop. Like he cannot play any defense. Like if tAge is matched against him or that like defense pair, like it's over for them. Like they're gonna outshoot them like 25-2. Like it's gonna be a disaster for them. Like they are getting demolished. And Montreal fans are just going to keep hyping up this mid-ass team, and it's going to be very funny when they finish last in the Atlantic and probably in the bottom five.
I remember that. I know that post you're talking about. It was so funny. The underlines were so bad.
They're so bad, but like the like this online this Twitter like format of like roasting a player when it's like Lane Hudson stats, 10 shot attempts against, 4 giveaways, uh, 2 penalties, and then 75 head fakes. It's just so funny.
That
But
is
that's how it's been
hilarious.
for him. That's how it's been. Did you see did you see their game against Ottawa? It was really funny. So Hudson has the puck behind the net and he's like, trying to like do his little head fake behind the net, like trying to get Brady Kachuk to, go one way or the other so he can skate the puck out. And Brady's just standing there and he starts going like this.
Oh
It
yeah, I
was
saw that. I saw
it
that. Yeah,
was
yeah,
really funny clip. I mean that kid is a meme already. I love it.
yeah. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Just a quick update from tonight. Red Wings lost 6-2 tonight to
Wow,
Winnipeg.
this is my shocked face.
Winnipeg did Winnipeg lose to Toronto?
They did. They lost the
Okay.
game finally.
Okay, so Winnipeg finally lost their 9-1. Yeah, but so Detroit's now 4-5-1. So we can update that for the listeners here, and then Blue Jackets beat the Islanders tonight. So there you go. And yeah, Lightning are up 4-1 on the Avalanche. Avalanche are off to a little bit of a slow start to 5-5. Well, they've picked it up a little bit, but I think they started 0-4, so they're starting to pick it back up a
All
little
their
bit.
guys are injured, dude. Their whole lineup is injured. It's crazy. Of their first 13 forwards that they had on the initial roster, I think they have 5 of them.
Yeah, but Mode is just going
Mode's
off.
killing it. Good for him.
Yeah.
I can't talk about Casey Middlestat because people make me mad about him because it's like never should have traded him, never should have traded him. Listen, I think Bo Byram's perfectly fine. Like if you don't have Bo Byram right now, you're playing like what you're putting like what Matthias Samuelsson in the top 4. Like
The
you,
pr- the
if
the,
he,
the
and then you
problem
wouldn't have McLeod.
it's a it all goes back to 24 because we
Yep.
miss we miss Middlestat so much because Cousins is playing so bad,
Yep.
and then
Yeah, I agree.
Byram
Totally.
can't catch any slack because Middlestat's playing so good. But again, we only miss Middlestat because Cousins is playing so bad. Like if you go down the list, you got tAge, Cousins, who we've already talked about, McLeod, and then Lafferty. Like those are fine centers. Like the weak center there is the $7 million player right now,
Right.
and
Yeah, I
it's
agree
just
with you. And everyone's like,
just
"Oh, we
frustrating.
should have traded Cousins instead." You know how many people would have been mad if we traded Dylan Cousins and kept Middlestat? Like that would have caused an uproar.
Imagine that move though. If they made that move and it ended up working out, people would be like, "Oh my God, Kevin Adams, a
But
genius."
I I still think Cousins can turn it around and like start to He's getting chances. Like at least he's getting chances now. But for the first 2 weeks of the season, he was legitimately like not impacting the game like whatsoever. At least now, like with the puck on his stick, he's getting a shot on net or like hitting the post or you know missing an open net.
And I'm not holding out hope for a Middlestat reunion in Buffalo in 3 years when that contract runs out. And the
Oh,
Sabres
wouldn't that be
are,
magical?
yeah, the Sabres are a playoff team by them, but they're looking for that one centerman to put them over the top to become a Stanley Cup contender. And we're gonna reunite with Mode, and it's gonna be great.
You just made all the 4 or 5 people that post Casey stats on Twitter just super excited.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. He's a player who would come back. He's definitely a player who would come back. So, all right, cool. I think it's gonna do it. You want to get into predictions for the upcoming week here?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so we got games Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. This, as you alluded to earlier in the podcast, this is a big week because you got the Islanders on Friday, you got Detroit on Saturday, and then you got Ottawa on Tuesday. So 3 teams you're going to be competing with for a wild card spot potentially. What do you think? What do you think we're going to see over these next 3 games?
We're going 3-0 in these games. We're gonna starting a new 3-game win streak. One of them's gonna be in a shootout.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure which one. Not gonna commit to that hard, but 3 wins for the Sabres over the next 3.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna put this in here so we can start
Okay.
documenting this. Ryan's saying 3-0 for this. All right, dude. Part of me wanted to say the same thing. I am not. I'm gonna go with 2-1 again
Okay.
over this stretch of games, and I think we might lose to Ottawa. I'm gonna predict wins against the Islanders and Detroit, and then a loss against Ottawa. So I'm gonna say 2-1.
That's good. That would be good. I mean, going 1-2 would cause me, going 0-3 or 1-2 would cause me to just freak out. Like we can't be doing that against these 3 teams. Like
Mm-mm.
it doesn't bother me when we lose like a Florida or like if we lose to like a West Coast team because it really doesn't like impact anything like all
Yeah,
that much. 'Cause it's like
yeah.
you're gonna lose those games.
It's like the
But
Bills losing to the Cowboys. Like, who cares?
right, like it doesn't really matter. But if we lose to one of these 3, it's gonna really piss me off.
I know, and it pains me to say we're going to lose to Ottawa, but like that's a season series I could see us splitting or even winning. I just
Yep.
feel like right now, if Allmark gets hot, and depending on how our goaltending is that game, then that could be one game. I'm not too worried about Detroit, even though that game's on the road. Islanders, that's our last game at home before we go on the road, so that could be something that you want to get a win before you go out on the road for a little bit. So we'll see what happens, but positive predictions here for Sabres Spotlight heading into the next
And
week.
I want to give you a little like heads up too, because when we were sitting here looking at our schedule, like even, going a little further, these next 3 winnable, like we just said. But after that, you got the Rangers. Let's chalk up that as a loss. Then you got Calgary, Montreal, St. Louis, Philadelphia, and then you go on the West Coast for Sabres After Dark against the California teams. That is a good chunk of games where you can win like a lot of those and really like cement yourself as a playoff or in playoff contention.
And by that time, you're a couple weeks away from that Thanksgiving date. So
Yep.
this will be the start of a big stretch of games, for the Sabres over the next few weeks. And you know who's going to be there with you every step of the way, shining the light. The boys over here at Sabres Spotlight. You know what to do. Check us out on social medias. Like I said, we got our new game previews coming out every game. So check us out if you don't follow us over there, because that's just, again, something fun to kind of follow along with this season. But we're always posting on Twitter. We got Instagram as well. Don't post on the Instagram as much, just because like Instagram's hard, man. Like, I don't know. I'm not like taking a lot of pictures and like posting stuff, but
Right.
we post the shows on there. So yeah, if you feel like, follow us on the Instagram, we got the Twitter. That's where a lot of the main stuff goes on. If you're listening to the show on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, like, subscribe, review, tell your friends and family. And if you have any questions for us or feedback, let us know at the email account. All that stuff's linked in the show notes below. But other than that, we'll see everyone next week. And as always, stay safe in the Sabrehood.
See ya.